wow.
Richardson will just launch it in. Guster when he turns it aside. Just a couple of seconds remaining. Done and dusted. A season for the agent. The Grand Slam. They complete the treble. The playoff champion, Belfast Giants. Many tries, but no one could stop the juggernaut. All three trophies will reside in Northern Ireland. And there's the captain. He's raised two. He's raised two so far. He's got his hands on the playoff trophy for the first time since 2010. The Belfast Giants will skate off into the summer with that final piece of silverware. Raise it to the rafters, Getty. Grand Slam champions, the Belfast Giants.
Well, I was about to go cracking straight into it, but this podcast has been going since 2005. And I've prayed and hoped for a moment like this, and I'd be able to say to you, this is A View from the Bridge, official podcast of the EIHL League, Challenge Cup, and playoff Grand Slam champions, the Stena Belfast Giants, for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Thursday, the 20th of April. Yes, Thursday. All you guys in Saltbox are like, oh, when's the podcast going to be? It's going to be late, isn't it? Yes, it's late. It's Thursday, the 20th of April, 2023. My name's Patrick Smith. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. You also download us at all the normal places. In this week's show, we're just going to talk about all the action, all the crack that took place, not only on a fabulous weekend over in Nottingham when the Giants lifted the playoff trophy and sealed that Grand Slam, but also about a wonderful night last night at the SSE Arena when the Giants All-Star team took on Dnipro Kherson. It was really was a special occasion. Adam Keefe and Kel Beatty will be joining us later on the show. Steve Thornton is waiting in the wings to come and join us in just a second, and we're going to talk about all the stuff that went on. Mr. Jimson, Mr. Kitchen, good to see you both again.
Hello, Patrick.
You well? Hi. Good. We're going to crack on straight away, gents. I'm delighted to be joined by the head of hockey operations for the Belfast Giants, Steve Thornton. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Glad this season is over and it was successful. And it feels like after last night's game, it's day one of the next season.
We're going to come on to all the good times. Unfortunately, though, we did talk about this at the weekend on the couple of live shows that we did, but there is more just a chat about Ray Sawada. Ray sadly passed away last week. Obviously, had a great season here in Belfast. Can we just get your thoughts on Ray and what unfortunately happened to him last week?
Well, I mean, anytime you hear news like that, it's devastating. It really kind of puts things into perspective. He was a great person, a great family man. He kept himself in impeccable shape too. So it's just, I mean, you feel so bad for the family. I know they had a couple of young kids as well. It's nice to see, I suppose, the community around him and the hockey community pulled together on it, but it just really knocks you back. And I can't imagine having to go through something like that, especially at such a young age.
Yeah, Davey, you know, we spoke about it the weekend. Ray Sawada was over a point a game for the Belfast Giants. He played for the Dallas Stars, and what probably was lesser known was he was one of the people who was used for motion capture in the NHL games.
He was indeed. To throw just to back your stats up there, Paddy, 68 games for 70 points, 24 goals. He was a special player and he was a special guy around the place, and you only need to look at the outpouring of love. We talked, funny, just it was on the last podcast, and I talked about John O'Phillips just prior to that and said, you know, sometimes we'll leave it to people's funerals to tell them how important they are to us. And 10 minutes later, we're told about the terrible passing of Ray. And there was a real outpouring of love towards him. And I hope that he knew just how revered. And I guess on a wider scale, these guys that come to Belfast don't really realize how revered they are as people and how important they become to us. And when they go back to Canada, you know, they become friends for life, you know. And you've seen probably the most touching moment was when you saw Keeper taking his 12 Sawada badge off and placing it on the playoff trophy and giving it a little tap and having a little thought for Ray in that moment. And you've seen the numbers on the helmets over the weekend, and I think the club did really well in the minutes of applause last night again. And it's just to reiterate what Steve said, it's just really tragic. Young family, much 10 years younger than me, and that really you've got to put your things in order. And as Murph said at the end of the podcast, like, if you have something to say to somebody, go and tell them, because if somebody's important to you, let them know.
Here. Simon, you got anything to add?
I think Stephen and Davey have just put it, perfectly. And the one thing I touched on it last night on the webcast or on the live stream, we've all got young kids, and having to think that raise young kids are going to have no dad anymore is just unbearable. So our thoughts are out to the family, and hopefully they can find the strength to continue and get the kids grow up thinking how good their dad was, and it's just incredible.
Right, let's get into talk of the weekend and the Belfast Giants this season. Steve, an absolutely phenomenal season overall. But your thoughts on what went by at the weekend there, and the last time we won the playoffs was 13 years ago. The time before that was 7 years before that. So to finally, after so many times, to finally get our hands on that trophy, it must be a relief to you.
That's probably the biggest word. Yeah, like I haven't. Because it has been so long and we've been so close, I haven't looked forward to that weekend for a while now. So it's usually just a stressful situation, and it's so hard to see other teams celebrate. Especially after the last 2 successful years we had, where we felt we were the top team. We won the league, we won the Challenge Cup, and then you can't go into the summer as like that kind of number one team. You're seeing somebody else on the ice celebrating and putting their finger up like they're the top. Like, it just leaves such a sour taste in your mouth. So for me, it was relief. It was, I suppose, fitting that we went through the same journey that we did in 2010, having to play Nottingham in the semis and Cardiff in the finals. And Cardiff have been our bogey team recently in the finals as well. So it was a nice way to finish it off. That's for sure.
Davey?
Questions for thoughts. And Steve, obviously, you've talked about, you've won it 3 times, young player coming towards the end as player coach, and then winning it now as a GM. Now, we talked at the weekend about how many of those banners that are hanging in the Odyssey SSE that have your fingerprints on them, but this one must be extra special with the last 10 years of, it just shows you too, for something that should be relatively easy, that it's 2 weekends, you've just got to be good for 2 weekends. It's actually relatively hard to win.
It is. And like every team is going into that playoff in a different position, and they're preparing differently, and it's exhausting, like going into that league hunt, a 54-game marathon where you're winning a trophy at the very end of it, and you haven't really had a chance to put a focus on that like quick tournament. And that's what it is. It's a quick tournament, so anybody can win on those ones in a one-off game or a 2-game series, as we've seen over the years. So it's a difficult one to win, like you said. But from a hockey player's point of view, growing up in pretty much any league in the world, like it's the playoffs that like a lot of the players want to play for. Like you want that kind of that last taste of success that leads you into the summer. And I like the way that the league is done here, and it makes sense, for us to have that priority on the 54-game season to over the long term of the season, who's dealt the best with the downs and who's had the highest ups, and you finish with obviously the last couple of years a trophy in the bank. But that one, it was extra sweet, I gotta say.
Steve, Simon Kitchen here. Look, I get to see more or less every day the efforts that you guys put into it off the ice. I'm talking about Steve, yourself, and Adam. We know how invested you are in it, and I know that you pull your hair out sometimes. And you signed.
I'm not having a ball joke on here. I'm not having a ball joke on here.
I thought it was a phone call tonight, Simon. I've done my hair.
When you see how much effort goes into it off the ice, Adam is demanding. I think that's probably the best word for it, and not just on the ice team, but the off ice team as well. And we're okay with that, especially when we have the success of what we have. But Davey and Paddy have already touched on it. The success that we've had in the last 3-4 years. I mean, the last 2 years we've won 5 of the last 6 trophies available from the EIHL. What next? What way do obviously every other team in the league is going to try and up their game. You've seen the Cardiff Devils have brought a new coaching or bringing a new coaching staff in. The Nottingham Panthers are going to do the same. Potentially other teams throughout the league. What next for Belfast Giants?
Well, most importantly, it's the hard work that we put in, and you guys play a big part in that. And I know that you're helping with a lot of the things off the ice. Finding those extra 1% and putting us in a better position to have the success. So, supposed to answer the question is we get back on the horse. Once you've tasted it, and once you've had like seasons where you've won trophies, and I think the players will say the same thing. They're going to want to replicate it. So. Staying at the top is not easy. There's going to be a lot of teams hunting for us, and like it does start. Well, it's already started in terms of trying to figure out what gives us the best chance to bring silverware back to Belfast. Like you don't really get a lot of time to sit back and reflect on what you've done, because like it's a mad scramble. Like right off the bat, it's a mad scramble, and with the Champions League coming up, in August, beginning September, and then working back for work permits, like how quickly you need to get guys done. We've got to get that blueprint right, and I think we've got a good finger on the pulse as to what it takes to win in the league. So we paint the picture of the lineup we want. We try to fill in those slots, and there's certain positions that are uber important that we need to make sure that we get, and then we give the team absolutely no excuses. So that is what I think my role is. Like I've got to find the ways that we can grab all those extra 1% everywhere, and then I got to take away the excuses. So like there's no reason anybody should be sitting in front of me, telling me that the travel wasn't good enough, the apartment wasn't good enough, or whatever. And that's everybody, including the team, the coaches. So Kiefer, he does demand a lot, demands a lot of the players, demands a lot of like everybody around the team, but that's because he cares, and he knows how to win. So as soon as you stop doing that, you stop winning.
Great answer. We finished our competitive season on Sunday. But last night, I think that the boys were watching on the stream, over 6,000 people in the arena, and what an event that we put on yesterday for the Ukraine hockey dream. It was one of the best events that I think hockey has, as a Belfast Giants organization, we've ever had.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, we've had a lot of big games in that building over the last 20 odd years, but that might have been the most important one. It falls back into the saying that we had in early days, that we may not be the biggest team in the world, but we're the most important. And now we potentially have competition, because like the country of Ukraine and that particularly that city, Kherson, like that has lost their venue, and that they're struggling to try to find a way to keep ice hockey going. If we can play a small part in helping that, it feels fantastic. So I think we've made lifelong friends. I don't think this is the end. We'd love to find ways to support them down the line. Hopefully we've created some form of a template for other teams to step up and do something as well. And who knows, in the near future, maybe we'll see something like that again.
Obviously, I was really, really disappointed I wasn't able to make it over last night, because I watched the whole thing online, and it was great coverage as always, and with Murph and Sis, but also throwing in Ram McMullen and all the stuff that was thrown around there was just wonderful to watch. From my perspective, a lot of the stuff was summed up by Sarah Fraser at Quinnipiac, who put out a tweet today on the back of what happened last night, was what the Belfast Giants organization, is what she said, what the Belfast Giants organization has done this year on and off the ice is a masterclass in the sports world. Top fan experience in a premier venue where you can eat, drink, and learn and socialize. Friendship 4, CHL, Elite League, the treble, the awards night, hockey can't stop. You threw in there the Continental Cup when we hosted that, and all the benefits that we got from that, getting into the CHL probably on the back of it. You threw the World Championships. The amount of work that your team put in, Steve, is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, when you say it like that, it is. It's been a wild ride, and we've had unbelievable growth over the last couple of years, and especially when you look back, like, coming out of a pandemic and a cost of living crisis, it's so hard to imagine that you'd a few years ago you'd be in this position where you're constantly selling out, and you're able to now not only get the business back up and running, but be able to support other businesses. So it's becoming a destination, and I think we've positioned ourselves quite well in that, like, our site brings people together, and we create great memories. And after being locked in, for the pandemic, like, people want to do that. So we've got the experience to another level. Like, the game night, I think, is fantastic, and it's a good place to come to. So we're ticking a lot of boxes for that.
One more thing before I let you go, Steve, is, obviously you said, next season starts now. So what happens now? Is it going to the current players and seeing who comes back, or is it just all encompassing who's about?
No, it's a
Or is
combination
it
of
time off?
Yeah. No,
Time
not
off.
certainly not.
Sounds a bit of a fine thing.
You're going to
Yeah,
Vegas, man.
the conversations have, like, started happening. Like, we need to make sure that we've got a base to build off. So a lot of internal chats with the coaching staff to make sure that we know what we want our team to look like next season, areas that we feel we can get better, who we want to bring in. Generally, the way it works for us is, like, you need to get your team signed from the roster that you have, mainly like the non-imported guys first, because a lot of them head off to World Championships, and there's just not as many of them available. So it seems like a mad scramble for that. And then we're very fortunate. We got a couple of great partners that offer school programs, so Ulster University and LaSalle University, and those are quite popular, those school spots. We look to fill those as well, and looking at players in the league that we've been able to cast an eye on for the last 9 months, and we make sure that we figure out who we like, and then you see kind of what is next. We're always targeting players we feel we maybe shouldn't get, so, like, our model is, we get rejected 9, 10, 11, 20, 30, 40 times before you get somebody. You're always going to ask and try to get that person that you feel you've got a win on bringing into our league. So and I think that is an important part of what we do. We're willing to do that graft.
Well, listen, Steve, from our point of view, and I'm sure I speak for the lads there as well, just a massive thank you from us. The season, this season has been absolutely outstanding. But you, like, told by the banners that are hung from the ceiling, that Davy has said your fingerprints are on a majority of them. So yes, we look forward to next season, but not before we enjoy what we've just witnessed in this season past.
Well, thank you so much, and we're all on the same team here. Like I said at the beginning, like, you guys play a massive part in bringing us the success that we have as well. And again, we're looking for those 1%, and you guys are adding a few. So thank you guys very much.
That's very kind of you. Thanks, Steve. Big thanks to.
Morning.
But Davey, you said it yourself. Like, when it comes to the championships, when it comes to those banners hanging, Steve Thornton's fingerprints are all over them.
I think if ever we can be a little sycophantic, if we can ever be a little backslappy, it's at the end of this season. You can have a moratorium every season. There'd be things that Steve will. You hear him talking already about how he wants to get better. He's just won the treble, but he wants to get better, and that's the old Alex Ferguson mentality of you build from your position of strength. And as I say, you can have a moratorium about your seasons where things have gone wrong, but see, right now in the present, we have just lifted the third trophy that we could lift this season out of 3, have had an unbelievable season. There'll be lots of thanks to lots of people tonight, and no more so than the head of hockey operations and Steve Thornton. He's an absolutely gentleman away from hockey, but in that club, like, there's heartbeats within that club, and Steve Thornton is one of those heartbeats. How many of those banners hasn't Thornton touched? It's been incredible, and since he came back after the Paul 80 season, he was sort of foisted in behind the bench, which wasn't really what he was supposed to come back for. He had to do that coaching season. Then he stepped in the head of hockey operations and built quite a pace of a trajectory. Actually, we've done, where we've came from, especially post-COVID, and came out. And of course, there's a lot of other people involved, and Simon and Laura and all the back team, but there's a head of hockey ops, and he's the man ultimately the buck stops with, and he's controlling everything that goes on there like a general. And crowds are up, trophies are up, banners are up.
Simon, it's no secret that I've made it no secret, and everybody knows that when it comes to my favorite player, Steve Thornton was always and still remains. Well, Scott Conway's getting quite close, but Steve Thornton was always my favorite. Was always my favorite player when it came to Belfast Giants. What he did when he came in from London after his knee injury, and when we won the playoffs, when he came back, even when he played at Basingstoke, he was fantastic. And when he came back to the Giants and winning again, you see him, like you said, you see him day in, day out, and the work that he puts in behind the scenes. One thing I will say is I had a quick chat with I had a chat with Todd Kelman over the weekend, and Killer more or less said that Steve Thornton was the best signing he ever made for the Belfast Giants.
And he's absolutely right. I think we're all Adam Keefe. He's the most important guy around the room, and I don't think anybody would argue with that. But I'll tell you what, if Steve's not right alongside him, he's not far off it. He is absolutely vital to the position that the Belfast Giants are in right now. You genuinely do not realize the work that this guy puts into it. He's off the charts. I mean, he just doesn't stop. He's in the office usually first. If he's not in the office, he's usually on his laptop or he's on his phone, and he does so many things. And it's not just Giants related. He's also over the whole site as commercial aspect as well. So all the sponsors and all the different partners we have throughout the arena, W5, Life, the SSE arena itself, the Giants, he oversees that whole thing. So I don't think he gets the plaudits that he deserves. I know, again, off the ice, and everybody pats at him in the back, and George and Stewie and Taff and all the players, and absolutely thoroughly deserved. I'm not taking anything away from that. But the impact that Steve has, I think, goes a little bit under the radar. And I think he's okay with that as well. I think he just sort of, he sort of pans on and gets on with what needs done. But make no mistake about it, he holds people accountable, and that includes not just the players, not just the coaching staff, but I'm talking about us as well, for the off-ice side of things, and myself, James, Laura, everybody, behind the scenes, Kelly, Angela. It's important to see that everybody's pulling their rope in the same direction. You can see that with the success we've had this year, the same success last year. There's not a team in this league that wouldn't want to be in the position we're in. Yes, you get fans who yap and gurn about, you've got this and you've got that. And we've got that because we work hard at it. And I'm not saying other teams don't, but we just go the extra mile. Those 1% that Steve talks about, are absolutely vital. I got a phone call from him about an hour ago, and I'd asked him to come on this, and he said, right, okay. Now, to be honest, Steve's normally in bed at this time. So I think he might have been wearing his pajamas under his jumper there, but he's normally in bed at this time, and he's up early to get ready to go. And then, he's the workload that he puts in to the Belfast Giants alone is off the charts. So I just want to say a massive thanks to Steve and everybody behind the scenes at the Belfast Giants, all the volunteers. Everybody has played their part. There's absolutely no doubt about that. We held a meeting after the Guildford game a few weeks ago. Actually, no, it was after the Clan game a few weeks ago, sorry. And all the volunteers were put into an office. Adam came in, and he just said thank you. And you could see, just looking around the room, you could see how much that meant to so many people. And just Adam showing his appreciation, taking his time out. As soon as he did his media interviews, he came straight round. He was only there for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. But seeing how high the fans, the volunteers all hold Adam and Steve is off the charts.
We've got Adam waiting just in the wings. We're going to bring him in just a second.
I didn't know that. I was pumping his all there too.
You're going to have to face him now. One of the comments as well. I was speaking to one over the weekend. I was speaking to and I'll not mention him, but a man who runs another one of the elite league clubs, and his comment to me was basically the Belfast Giants are like a DEL team operating in the Elite League, how smoothly they're running both on and off the ice. So, but the team on the ice doesn't run as smoothly without the way that they're working off the ice, and that every team in this league is playing catch up to the way the Giants are doing. And that's a testament to you, says to Laura, to Steve, to everybody who's working so hard behind the scenes, and more power to you. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to bring in that Grand Slam winning coach. All he does these days is win trophies, and that is, of course, Adam Keefe. How you doing, Coach?
A lot better than this time last night, that's for sure.
How did you feel? Well, do you know what? We do have an interview with you that says that we're going to play later on. We was obviously talking to George Awada and then you, but give it to us now. How did it feel last night? How were those legs?
Not great. The first lap or two in warm-ups, I was like, I think I could still play. Then I did a few more laps. And then the legs started to get real heavy and weak. So it's pretty frustrating, your body not being able to do what your mind's telling you to do. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, I had a lot of fun out there. First period was probably the toughest because I was playing forward, trying to forecheck and those things. That takes a lot of energy out of you. So I went back on D and pretty much cost us about 3 goals. So maybe I should,
three.
I came out at -1. That's all.
Davey, have you run the stats on this? Just we just need to make sure of that.
Oh, he was +1 then.
Nicely done. We described it. We'll focus on last night before we go on to it. But we were speaking to Steve Thornton just there now, and we were saying about how last night, with regards to everything the Giants have put on, last night was just incredibly special.
Yeah, it really was. I think this all kind of came up. I'm not sure exactly how long ago, probably inside a month. And for the off ice staff to put this together inside of a month and organize it that well, that's a credit to everybody off the ice. But what a way to end the season, especially after finally getting that playoff trophy, having the team celebrations, and then one last kind of celebration for a great cause with the fans. I mean, I don't think you could ever rewrite a better season this year.
I think that's a very, very good way to put it, Coach. You couldn't really write. If you wrote that story, some people mightn't believe it. It's been an incredible season. It's been an incredible 3 or 4 years, actually. But to finally get your hands, we were talking to Steve earlier. We had a little piece about Ray Sawada at the start, a bit of a tribute piece to him. Just that moment when you got close enough to finally touch that Icy Smith trophy, put the number 12 badge on it, give it a little pat, and then leave it to Goody to go and pick it up. Must have been a really special moment in your career.
Yeah, it was one that's kind of eluded us. She's the one that got away, I suppose. I think that we were joking around last night, and I was giving the playoff trophy to the likes of Savvy, Boxy, Loiter, because they were unlucky enough to get it done in their time. And I know how that can kind of feel like. You feel like you just unfinished business. So it was nice for them to get back and at least see that with trouble season like this, that to see the one that got away, and just to celebrate it with us. And it was an amazing way. Like I said, there's not a better way to end the season, especially considering we got the cup in the league. To go out pretty much leaving nothing on the table for anybody else. That was a surreal feeling.
Kiefer, Mark Garside finally got his hands on the trophy. He's won everything else. It was around the room there, and after the game on Saturday, and I was sort of looking at Gary was sitting down on his own at one point. Obviously, he had the family and all there with him as well. But you play, but you even started them last night with yourself and that other mutant, Darryl Lloyd. But it just goes to show how high all the other guys in that room hold Gary in this team that he deserves to be in.
Yeah, he's very well respected. There's a reason why I gave him a letter he's a leader on the team. He's been around. He's had those heartaches of lost Challenge Cups, lost playoffs, lost leagues, and those are the things that make you winners. It's how you bounce back from those. It's not every. It's easy to win when that you think back to that our second league trophy. I think it was 2013-14 when we win in February. That was easy league. We just knew we were going to win that league. Probably since November on, nobody was close to us. There's been the season before that, we missed out on every single trophy because Nottingham was that good, and they won the treble. And those losses, it's how you come back from those. That makes guys hungrier. And I think that really put us over the edge this season. In the playoffs, the fact that we had those returning guys in that locker room, that we're not going to let that happen again.
You say that, but when it comes to that season when Nottingham won everything, I do remember interviewing a very angry Doug Christensen after the playoff final, who basically said, I heard Gary Moran out there saying they're Grand Slam champions. I'd like them to come to Belfast and pick up our EIHL Conference trophy that they didn't get. So they missed out on one. But when you look back at this season and years to come, Coach, you look at where we were in December when we lost those 2 back-to-back games against the Manchester Storm, and the changes that had to take place there and what you had to put into place. How will you look back at this season? There's a lot of adversity this season that you had to overcome, and to actually do that, and they actually come away with all 3 trophies. The hard work that must have been put in, it was incredible.
Yeah, well, it's consistency. That's what it is. I mean, guys, we had that blip in Manchester. We actually, going into the Manchester weekend, we were okay with our road trip. We were 500 on the road. A successful road trip like that in November, you come out of it better than 500. So all things considered, I think we had a lot of injuries on that trip, playing short benched, and all things considered, we came out of it 500 and we were happy with it. We were still within striking distance of the league, but to come home and drop those 2, that was a tough one to take. That put us in a real big hole. So obviously from there, some real tough conversations happened behind the scenes that, ultimately altered the path that the team took in terms of personnel.
We after that Manchester double, as people who watch the show know, we invited David Goodwin on, and he came on to sort of to explain what happened the following weekend. We did invite David Goodwin to come and join us tonight, and he said I'm on a beach in Spain. I'm drinking Estrella. We haven't got swept by the Manchester Storm. Enjoy the show. But the other thing I would say is, coming to the back end of this season, obviously you said we were 500 on the road coming into that. How key is it that those last 10, 12 games, most of them were at home?
Yeah, that is. I mean, that's something ever since we started that long road trip in November, due to the Friendship Four, essentially, and obviously other events at the arena. You look at that as something that can really set you up for success down the stretch if you do well in it. And that's what I meant. You want to come out of that better than 500. And then that if you're within striking distance after Christmas, that there's a lot more home games than there's road games. And, the crowds start to, from this season in particular, the crowds were very good from before Christmas, but generally it's usually after Christmas it starts to pick up and the guys start to get excited. They start to see the finish line. Everything starts to align. And if you get the buy-in, then things start to pick up and you start to apply a lot of pressure on a team that you're chasing or a team that's chasing you.
Coach, we don't want to harp back to that early December, but I tweeted the other day and I said on that podcast, there was a guy called Kevin DeShazo tweeted about trusting the process, and you as a coach, okay, you made personnel changes. Besco obviously comes in on pretty much New Year's Day. Hank comes in, different players come. Rucci comes in, was a key component as well. Unfortunately, got injured towards the end. But the growth takes time. Results take time. Be patient, be persistent. Do your work. Focus on your habits. as a coach, that's where your job comes in, just to tell them to trust. I'm your coach. Trust what I'm putting in front of you here, guys.
That's exactly it. I actually screenshotted that tweet that you put out there. I think that was a great quote. It was about farming.
Yep.
And I think it's exactly. I mean, it correlates. It's perfect for what we do here. I mean, we plant those seeds at the start of the year, how to win and how we need to win, and it has to be every game. It's not about winning the trophies. Essentially, obviously, every team wants to win trophies, so. That you don't even really need to touch on that, but how are we going to get there? And if you focus on the trophies, everything gets lost in the process. And if you focus on the process, then all of a sudden, after 4 months, you find yourself close. And I think that's why you see this team. I would say in the last few years, post Christmas, they see the finishing line start to be real. And all of a sudden, it's playoff performance after playoff performance, week in, week out, and that separates us from the pack. And I think that's because they learned the process and they learned how to win up until Christmas, and not without falter. I mean, we had many times we failed, and ultimately failed to the point where we had to change some things, right? So. But what happens is through that we learn, and then all of a sudden post Christmas we know how to win. And once the team knows how to win, and they have trust in the process, they trust in our structure or how we played, how we can win, it just seems to take over. And that's when, as a coach, you can kind of sit back for the most part and watch them play, and it's a lot of fun.
Like I think we, to an extent, also get that. You see, jealousy is the wrong term. I'm trying to think the right word here, but there's been an awful lot about us hosting the last 2 Challenge Cup finals. Oh, it's a home game for the Belfast Giants, but you have to earn the right. And we're earning the right through doing things right in what are ultimately dead rubbers. You'll still qualify for the quarterfinals or the semi-finals of the Challenge Cup if you lose those last couple of group games. But we focus on winning through those dead rubber games, winning through those quarterfinals, because hosting the Challenge Cup final is a massive thing.
Yeah. I mean, we learned that not this season, but we learned that the last year, how important that third period was with that fan base. And we learned it in the Continental Cup as well, coming back in the third period, what that crowd can do for you in terms of momentum. So, I mean, anytime home ice advantage is available, we want it. And, the players, probably the returning players, not so much, but the new players probably thought I was a psychopath because, you're going into a Challenge Cup at the start of the season. And, if you think back to that, everybody says that it's unfair that we get home ice advantage. We won one of them in a shootout, I believe one in overtime. I mean, you lose those, you don't get home ice advantage if Sheffield gets through. So, that was extremely important. And you have to apply those standards from day one. Otherwise, you can slip and all of a sudden there's no championship game at home.
One last question for me. The last question for me, Coach, was going to be, I know those were the Ukraine team last night was a friendly and those kids were young, but I was looking forward to seeing that elbow pad being thrown up into the sky, but I guess I have to live with that. The question is, we're going to be chatting to Kel Beatty in just a second. And there are a lot of changes will have to happen, and players will come, players will go, but some of these young lads will be coming through. You're obviously recruitment starts now, or probably started long ago. What are you looking for in your team going forward? And when it comes to these young kids, do you see more and more coming from them?
Yeah, ultimately, I think the growth of Kel and Mac and Carter and Cammy Hamill and Travis Lavery, the real young kids that are here, the growth that I've seen from them year on year out has been great, and that's great to see. And ultimately, I probably need more focus on it, but I only have so much I can give. But they have grown in the last few years for sure, and I've talked to each one of them about the importance of getting stronger physically, because that's it. You're playing against men once you reach this elite level, and that's it. So it's work in the summer that needs to be put in for those boys to be able to compete with the big boys week in, week out, and counted on in reliable situations when it comes to the league title chase. I mean, but all that being said, they've done fantastic for us whenever they've been called upon to, whenever we're able to get them in the lineup. They've eaten valuable minutes that allows the likes of Conway, Goodwin, the guys are eating big minutes to rest a little bit going into maybe the second game of the weekend, and gives us a little bit more life that day.
Well, Coach, listen, what a phenomenal season. From our point of view, we thank you for what you've helped us with in a view from the bridge. But from an on-ice point of view, unbelievable. We can't thank you enough for what you do for this organization, what you provide for this organization, and what a season that we've had. I know that personally you're in for a bit of a busy time, so we wish you well with that. And I think that, going forward, no doubt we're in for a lot better times. And I know that Says will probably hope that the Leafs pick up from after last night's loss. So, it's going to be a busy time. But thanks very much for your time, and congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me as always. But I do want to touch on one thing. I mean, when I was sitting there in the waiting room, I heard you guys talking about Steve's 1%, and Steve's been talking about adding 1% to the team probably since I've known him. Those little areas where we can add 1% value and maybe it makes the difference. So if you think about Steve's been talking about that for 6-7 years. That's 7% now, and now you see the fruits of the labor, and I think that's a real credit to Steve and his leadership, and obviously you guys are a big part of that 1%. So thank you for what you guys do.
That's very kind of you, man. Thank you very much, and enjoy your summer.
I like the hats. I didn't get the memo, otherwise I would have brought mine.
That's the last minute decision. I'm going to hang mine up a bit. Thanks, Coach.
No problem. Take care.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Big thanks to Adam Keefe. We'll race around quickly just to comment about Kiefer. David, it's just like I say, he cost this organization a fortune in championship banners.
Brilliant, doesn't it? My book of superlatives is overflowing.
I was going to say, you must be reading the dictionary before you come on tonight.
I'm very well educated, Justice. It's one of those things. It's all been said, and was said about it earlier in the piece. It's about ride the highs of right now, because the organization's in a really good place, and you will not win trebles every season forever, because it's never happened before. It's never happened again. But ride the emotion and enjoy the euphoria of what's happening right now, because we've waited a long time for that Elite League trophy, or for that playoff trophy. We've been the Nottingham many times over the last decade and got so close. And I think who was on a couple of weeks ago, it might have been Goody, when he said about just having that extra depth. And we're sitting there at the weekend, Henrik Eriksson, Tyler Soy, Roche obviously injured, but that depth of squad there, if they had to be called on, there was guys capable to step in. Fortunately, we just outgunned everybody this season. You look at this goal score, something like 300 goals scored this season, least goals conceded, best netminders in the league, team of 4 of them. It's just been a fantastically well-recruited team, fantastically well-coached team, and it ends up with 3 banners in the rafters and everything your heart could desire. Unbelievable.
You said a lot about Kiefer before he came on. Says, have you anything to add now?
Yeah, I mean, you said your last comment to him there, enjoy your summer. He's in tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's in the office tomorrow. To be honest, I thought Monday might have been a summer. We all know that Colleen's due to have another baby very shortly, so he is going to be busy time. And I think that's the only time he's going to have off. He's got childminding duties to take into consideration over the next few weeks. Little Cora she was at the game last night with him, and he just works so hard. Again, you sort of expect that from a guy like Adam, and the efforts that he puts into it, the time that he puts into it is incredible. And a lot of people just don't realize how much time and effort that goes into winning. I remember going to Skellefteå in October, and we arrived on a Tuesday late afternoon, early evening, probably 9 or 10 hour. Actually, I think it might be 12-hour travel day. It was an early start. I remember that. And myself, him, George, Stewie, Taff, the Parrot were sitting. Boys were all in bed or doing their saunas or whatever. And he's sitting cutting video at 11 o'clock at night. And then I went to bed at whatever. And I was up for breakfast early before I went for a morning skate. And he was sitting at the table cutting video for that game that night. When we get back, after the game, the hotel, he was sitting again, just, watching the video from that game to prepare for the next weekend. While we were on the bus on the way back from Glasgow, I wasn't sitting beside him on the plane, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was doing the same thing and getting ready for the weekend. It's the effort and time and that they put in off the ice that goes to winning those banners that Davey was talking about. And it's those little 1%. Let me tell you something, it's more than 1% every season that we're getting better, and we can only get to 100%. And I'll tell you what, it feels absolutely brilliant. And last night, I commented on last night when I was watching, or when I was doing the live stream. It was brilliant to watch a game that has not have any pressure on any of us whatsoever. It was absolutely brilliant, really enjoyable. Just sitting back watching and having a bit of a laugh with some of the guys on the ice, which was definitely comical at one point. But it's just, as a group, for us three to even have those words like what Adam was saying, what Steve was saying about those 1%, for us, it just makes you feel 10 feet tall.
Yeah, it's very kind of them to say, I have to say. Right. The Belfast Giants weren't the only team to be very successful this season and very successful over the year. Solway Sharks, they've won the Cup champions, League champions, playoff champions, EIHL national champions. Please welcome to A View from the Bridge. Welcome back to A View from the Bridge. Kel Beatty, how you doing, mate?
All right, guys, how's it going?
Not too bad. How was your weekend?
Yeah, it was an eventful one. An eventful year as well. So, 7 trophies across 2 teams. What more could I say? So it's been a really exciting year for myself and for the 2 clubs.
Where'd you keep the medals?
They're all in my room at the moment.
But obviously, for Solway, especially at the weekend, and the way it went for them, it just was capping off what has been a great season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we didn't really get to do last year, as we lost out on the cup. We got put out in the semi-final in the cup last year. So a lot of guys returning and some guys retiring this year wanted to end on a high, and what a great way to go out for them as well. And obviously it's my 2nd year playing senior hockey just due to COVID and stuff as well. So it's been 2 great years. Obviously winning 3 trophies last year with Solway and 2 with the Giants, and then running both Grand Slams this year. I don't know what more can I ask for, really.
Not bad, really, is it?
No.
A little bit of adversity as well, Kel. Mid-season, I think it was a bit of a knock into the boards and took a bit of an injury. It kept you out for a wee while. Must have been not the first time really in your pro career you've had to sit and just be patient to get back.
Yeah, I was in Hull, and I was got hit from behind and done tissue damage to my shoulder. So I was out for about 3 to 4 weeks. So it's the first time ever I've been sidelined due to hockey. So it has. So it was tough at the start, obviously, just watching from the stands every day at training. But the medical team got me right, and I was able to keep fit throughout it with Parrot's help as well. So I can't thank them enough.
Just over 12 months ago, we played the Challenge Cup final at home. I was fortunate enough, I was standing just behind you, and Kel was sitting down below us. Me and Kitchie and Laura, whatever, were standing up, and you just went down and joined in the celebrations. This year, I stood beside your man, Da, while you were on the ice celebrating. It must have been such a buzz to be involved in that on the bench that night, although, again, took a bit of a knock that night as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or was that the Guildford night? Was it the Guildford night you got hit?
That was the Guildford night again. Yeah. So, yeah, absolutely. This year's been a huge stepping stone for me, just in the start of my professional career. obviously winning the Challenge Cup again this year and being a part of the team this year on the bench, including in the squad, was absolutely amazing. And getting to celebrate it in front of the fans and having my mum and dad down there as well was absolutely brilliant.
Says.
Thanks, Davey. Davey just touched on it there, Kel. I mean, I don't know. You've been watched so many games as a kid in the arena, and you obviously you've been on the bench quite a lot this year as well. And there's announcements every game going, keep your eye on the puck at all times, sponsored by Cathedral Icon. Can you talk us through what happened when you weren't keeping your eye on the puck and you get hit in the gob with it the last couple of weeks ago?
I blame it on Mac Stewart if he's watching this. Mac, it's your fault.
Did he push you into it? He pushed you in.
We were having a conversation on the bench about something that happened to play before with one of the lads, and he obviously seen it, and I didn't see it coming. Puck came across the centre ice, and it got poke-checked into the bench. He moved, and I just got hit by it. So I should have kept my eye on the puck, but it wasn't to be.
You've had a bird's eye view of another very, very successful season this year. You've worked your tail off all season long. Even last year, you worked your tail off during the summer to get ready for this year. And obviously the success that you've had personally, as well as the group, is absolutely well-deserved. But looking at the guys that you train with every day, David Goodwin, Scott Conway, Mark Cooper, I see you out there after practice every single day with Mark Cooper, whether it's working on deflections or it's working on shooting or, just little moves. How much has that helped you this year?
Yeah, absolutely. It's helped me a lot. That's something I've tried to add to my game this year, is just work on the little things and the basic things. And like the likes of Mark Cooper and Scott Conway and David Goodwin after practice have helped me a lot, especially Mark Cooper. We've been doing little things after training, like shooting and passing, etc. So all the small things has helped me this year within my game, and I hopefully just carry them on throughout the summer and just work on them.
That's interesting you say that, because obviously there's always this discussion about development and development leagues and where development comes. Obviously, and when you come and you train with the Giants, you're surrounded by guys who have come through systems in North America, come through the NCAA systems, junior systems in North America, and have a wealth of pro experience. But you're able to pick up on and use some of that experience to develop yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the guys coming across from North America and Canada, like, they say to us, like, just do the basic things right and everything will come together as well. And just watching them as well, the likes of like Jeff Baum and Gabe Bass, like I always, especially this year, I've had an eye on them as well, just because they do everything right, and like they make first pass is always good as well. So I can't fault either of them, and they're two good guys as well.
Also from your point of view, you've been you mentioned you were with Hull for a few games, you've been Solway for a lot of games, Belfast Giants, going between. Has it been difficult to shift, or do you just try to keep your game consistent?
I feel like when I'm playing with the Giants, that's where like my game's at really. And then once I go down to the lower league levels, I try and just bring the same, just match the same intensity, because hopefully one day I want to play in that league full time. So I try and bring the same intensity at any level I play at really. But yeah.
Kel, is there a little bit of what Paddy's saying there? Do you notice your game developing more with the practice you get with the likes of Basti and Bomber and stuff, and being on ice training every day, or getting the minutes the likes of Solway going and playing game time, or is it just a nice combination?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I feel like that me going and training with the guys every day, especially the D-core as well, like what I'm doing in practice is helping me a lot in my games as well. And like, as it may not be at the same level, but me doing what I'm doing in practice and then going taking it in the games has absolutely helped me this year a lot, especially in the lower leagues where I can practice on it more. And if I make a mistake, I can just move on from it really.
Cal, who's the worst chirper in the room this year? I mean, well, we all know about Scott Conway, and I've heard Gabe Bass, he's lethal. But you've got a perfect position to listen to all those boys on the ice and practice and just winding people up. Who's the biggest clown? Who's the biggest chirper?
Biggest chirper, Scott Conway, most definitely. Worst chirper would have to be Will Cullen. Terrible dress sense as well. And clown, probably would have to go for Scott Conway as well. He's just an all-rounder, isn't he, really?
I know your mum and dad are massively proud of you, and we Jude as well. And that you've deserved all the accolades you've had this year and the last couple of years as well. But again, you're probably taking a couple of weeks off and then getting ready to go again for next season, because next season is a very important year for you. And it's, as champions, everybody's going to want to whack at the Belfast Giants, and you can just join the queue. But you must be looking forward to getting back to practice again. You get off the ice for a couple of days, you're going, what do you do yourself? I mean, you sit and look around the room and go, I don't have to get up. I mean, I know your timekeeping's not been great this year. I'll give you that. You've been late a couple of times, but is it you're going to put that in your diary next year to go, I'm going to be on time?
Yeah, absolutely. A few days off. I've got an awards night this weekend with Solway, and then just straight to it. No messing about, really. I really want to take this summer as serious as I can. I know I put in a lot of work last summer, but I want to try and build off that as well. I've already had a brief chat with Kiefer about what I need to do over this summer, and hopefully it can all fall into place.
We're going to let you say with the awards dinner this week. We got a comment from Anthony Russell here saying, I haven't seen the videos of the celebrations from Solway. If he takes Ross Murray's intensity for drinking Stella to the ice, Kell will be set. Ross did well, did he?
Ross is quite a lively guy. He likes to be known as the 6th time. Yeah, he's quite a lively guy. He's quite an older guy as well. He's a veteran in the team, and he's known as the 6th time. He'll love me shouting him out here. So
fantastic. Well, listen, mate, congratulations. Like, I don't know if anybody in UK hockey has won as many trophies as you have, or medals as you have this season, which is phenomenal. It's brilliant to see you doing so well. Hopefully, we'll see a lot more of you come next season in a Belfast Giants jersey, and enjoy your summer.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Brilliant. Jordan's probably sitting in the house getting a medals cabinet put together for him.
Yeah, he's probably putting it together. Listen, phenomenal. Like it says, you say the amount of effort the kid puts in, he's doing so well, and they have so many medals. It's just brilliant to see.
Do you know what? Do you know the one thing I do like about him? He's very hard on himself. He's when he does something wrong, he thinks about it. Sometimes it's good to just put it behind you, and hopefully you don't make that type of mistake again. But the kid's hard on himself because he wants to get better. And you see him, you watch him in practice. They're between him and Cal, they're usually first on the ice with Deco. And they're definitely one of the last two off the ice. He's taken it to another level this year. You heard him talking about, veterans in the room like Ross for Solway and what have you. And that's the type of respect that these young kids need to have. They need to basically to look ahead and try and watch these professional guys who've been professional for a number of years. Mark Cooper, David Goodwin. They need to be taking little aspects away from what they do right. And even simple things like picking the pucks up at the end of practice without having to be asked. All those little things are crucial to being kept humble, but also looking how to improve, because in a couple of years' time, there's going to be other kids coming up, and he needs to pass that information on to them. Go and get the pucks, and don't be lazy. Keep working hard. He's a good kid. Mac's a good kid. We've been very, very lucky this year, and over the last couple of years, you heard Adam talking about Carter and Cameron and Travis and what have you. There's a couple of kids there that maybe have a shot next year to have the same sort of commitment that Kel and Mac have put in over the last couple of years as well. So it's brilliant that he's getting recognition for the ice time he's got in Solway. Two good friends of mine, and Jamie Thompson and Martin Grubb, have done a really good job developing him as well. And hopefully long may it continue.
Do you know what, Davey? I know we talk about it time and time again, but there's something just makes you feel very proud that there are lads like this coming through. You look at the development system that's brought British players here from Peterborough, from Swindon, from Sheffield. We see these systems, Nottingham, we see these systems coming through. They're bringing the players through, and we are going, let's say, to them, to the English game, and picking up players to bring them here. To have lads like the Hamills, like Kel, like Mac coming through. Sorry, did I say Kel? Sorry, I meant the Ballysil and Datsuk, didn't I? But we have players like that coming through who are local lads. It's exactly what the Belfast Giants want to have as part of their organisation.
Like when you talk to any of these Canadian guys and you talk about their upbringing in hockey, they always reference back to their parents and how much they did for them. And, don't knock how much Julie and Jordy have been an influence in his career. Simon mentioned there about the hard work Mac and Kel put in the last couple of years, and absolutely, and I think he would agree with me and says it hasn't been 2 years in the making, but Kel's been skating near his whole life to get to this point. It's been a dedication from his mom and dad and his family to help him get to where he's at, and it hasn't been easy in any shape or form. This isn't it's not a given to be a Belfast Giant. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of years and a lot of money put into. And he's going to have to put a lot of money in this summer because he's going to have to eat a whole lot because, as Keeper says, he needs to get bigger, and it's not cheap getting big. But
tell me about
it. But we wish, especially just to add to what you're saying there, Paddy, especially these young lads from Belfast. You want to see them in Belfast Giants uniforms, and I said a wee bit on Saturday about the Giants players represent us because we can't do it, but these guys represent us because they can do it. These Belfast guys. So I wish them really well for their career. Brilliant what he's doing in Solway. 4 trophies in Solway this season. I don't know that a couple or 3 last year. 2 trophies in Belfast last year. 3 this year. I hope gold follows him everywhere he goes.
Congratulations to Kel and everything he's done. Thanks to all those lads who joined us. Shall we start the show, gentlemen? Look, we need to talk about these games. Let's talk about these games. We'll talk about the first one quickly. The Belfast Giants in the semi-final took on the Nottingham Panthers and walked away 6-3 winners. Goals coming from Ari, Norris, Lake, Goodwin, Lake again, and Norris, the man of the match for that game, rounded out the 6, where the Nottingham Panthers goals came from Hopkins, Anderson, and Izaki. Regards to goalies, Tyler Beskorowany, 41 shots on, 3 goals against. The other side, Peyton Jones, 24 shots on, 6 against. Rest from Matt Rose and Alty Dalton. Davey, we were outshot, but so what?
Do you know what? A 6-3 win would tell you, it doesn't give the whole story of the game. Tyler Beskorowany in our first period was just sensational. He was really, really good across the weekend, by the way, but it could have been worse than that for the Belfast Giants. Clutch players at key times. Steve Orey coming up with big goal. Ben Lake, Simon's talked about him all season. Okay, there's a slight deflection, I think, that takes it up over Peyton Jones' shoulder. I think Peyton will probably look back on Saturday and I want to have a couple of those goals back. But when you've goal scoring from guys like Sean Norris, who's not there to score goals, those guys are there to eat up minutes, as Kiefer talked about, as George talked about earlier on there. Eat up minutes. They'll like David Goodwin, Scott Conway, and Steve Orey, just those few minutes extra rest. And when they can get on the ice, keep the puck 200 feet away from Tyler Beskorowany and potentially come up with a goal, well, then they're doing their jobs in space. Great feed there from David Goodwin into Steve Orey. The fast shot over the glove on Peyton Jones there set us up. And I think it was maybe 2-0 fairly quick into the game. Simon sent me off to do a message where we're absolutely fine with that, because even when that second goal went in, it kind of felt not a done deal at that stage, because we've had a wee bit of a leak at 2-0 a lot recently where we'll let teams back into the game and it just wouldn't go away. But every time they scored, the Belfast Giants had an answer back, which was really key. And, running out 6-3 winners, more than comfortably enough and more than deserved.
It was Tyler Beskorowany who was, Sean Norris rightly got with 2 goals, got the player of the game, but you can't get by how good Tyler Beskorowany was in this match.
He was brilliant. Davey just touched on Jonesy as well. He played okay in the first period, didn't get much help. I mean, that goal by Sean Norris there, one of those defensemen's got to clear that. But even when you look at the first goal by Steve Orey and you watch the little move that David Goodwin just holds onto the puck that little bit extra and attracts 3 Panthers to him, and Ari's all alone out front. And, it's those little things, that the details that that even Gagnon made look like a bit of a fool at the weekend. And he hasn't been great all year, but it's those little things that you just go the extra mile. Don't mind taking a hit to make the play. And I just thought that, especially when we went 3-0 up against the Panthers on Saturday, that we were in control of that game. But yes, they got a goal back. We scored another. They got another goal back. And you're sort of, a lot of times you'd be sitting thinking against maybe other teams that, they're going to come back into it. At no time did I think we were in danger of losing that game. However, I was really nervous about this game before it actually started. Robert Fitzpatrick, I remember asking me, what's your gut? And I said, I don't know. I really don't know. We didn't play great against Clan the week before. I still don't think we got out of third gear against the Panthers. And the only time I thought we actually really kicked off all weekend was the third period against the Devils on the Sunday, which we're going on to talk about. But look, it's one of those things when you've got scoring coming from your fourth line, 2 goals from Sean Norris, and your top line's clicking. Laker got a couple. We did enough to win, and again, you get a little bit of luck going your way. Like, what a smart goal by that came off the back of Jonesy. Was it Sean Norris again got that goal?
Sean Norris, yeah.
And really smart. That's actually a veteran move. You get Jonesy went out to play the puck, didn't get it around the wall. Norris just throws it off. He's sitting off his post and capitalizes on a mistake by the goaltender. So, look, we talked about the game before. It's a battle of the goaltenders between Besko and Jonesy. And as much as I liked Peyton Jones, Besko coming up and doing Besko things and such as he's done, he came in January.
How much did this settle the Giants, you think, into the weekend? Because you say, Davey said, we didn't play great against the Clan. We had to basically try to show the team that we are. And I felt that, especially coming into the third period, I felt that we were starting to show that.
I think that we showed that no matter what happens in a game, we've got goals in us. And if you've got goals in you and you've got good goaltending, Besko, since he's came in at whatever it was, 1st of January, I must say, he didn't play for a few days. Something ridiculous, like 1.33 goals against average, something really low. If you're conceding 2 goals a game and you're scoring 3 or 4, that Besko's got your back. You're going to win more games than you're going to lose, which is hardly rocket science. But whenever you can keep a score down and you just know this team has got goals in it. It's funny. We'll go on to talk about Sunday, but at 1-0 down, and you could have cut the atmosphere with a knife where we were sitting. You really could have. And Josh Roach just turned around and said, "Would everybody breathe? We've got this." And we still hadn't scored, but we were creating chances. And on Saturday, although the Nottingham Panthers probably had the lion's share of the grade A chances, Besko outplayed his opposite number on Saturday. And then the cream of the top 2 lines, especially Sean Norris, obviously come up a couple from what he was playing on the 3rd and 4th line at times. But those guys, Steve Orey, Ben Nick with a pair, just outstanding. But it felt comfort. Like Simon, nerves going into the game, but once those first couple of goals went in, the nerves were gone, and the Giants played with a freedom. And of course, yes, we conceded a couple of goals. Would like to not concede, but there always seemed like they had goals going forward.
We'll move on from the semi-final, gentlemen. The Belfast Giants run out 6-3 winners there. In the second semi-final, it had to go to overtime. The Cardiff Devils coming from behind to win that 3-2 in overtime to face the Belfast Giants, and that ended Saturday. And some of us had
I was going to say there, Paddy, I take it you read about that game somewhere.
I am. No, I watched it. I watched it.
I did, yeah.
100%. What? Well, I'll tell you what. Me and Hitchy left the arena 2-1, right? To which Hitchy says, "Well, as far as he's concerned, that was the end of the game." So he was looking forward to seeing the Steelers in the final. But then when we got to that traditional Nottingham restaurant, I put it on my phone and I watched it with a bit of an interesting call to call that penalty in overtime that sort of led to the overtime goal, Davey.
Yeah. I think for me, I think it's Brendan Conley from memory. The player's gone round behind, he's gone for the stick lift. It's interpretation as to whether you think he's got the stick lift or whether he's got enough of the player to call the hook. But who was in that? It would have been Greenfield's net. if I'm in Greenfield's net, there's a referee on the half wall, 50 feet away. I can't remember which order they are, but the other referee is 150 feet away on the far blue line, and he calls it from behind. Now you can see the action, but he can't see the outcome. I think it's Brendan Connolly points the stick at him, going, "That has to be his call. It's his call." But once his hand's up, I don't know whether they can have a little conference there and go, "I think you've got that wrong." But I think in terms of a playoff semi-final, 2 each, going into overtime, or maybe even it wasn't overtime at the time, the call that is a big call from being the back referee. Not for me to double guess, but we're only assessing it on what we're seeing. And I think, I'm not going to say it's a bad call, but I just think it's the wrong ref making that call.
Simon?
I didn't say it. Don't really care.
Well, it led to the Cardiff Devils scoring in overtime when, I'd say, Petgrave with a terrible defensive play down low, sort of leaving a man wide open on the line for a finish. Go on, David, you want to say something?
I don't know whether we'll come on to the Elite League awards for the year, but Matt
we will.
Greenfield,
I've got them lined up.
Obviously, goaltender of the year. For me, I'm not going to say culpable for both goals. Could have done better for both goals. The equaliser, as Waller comes down the left wing. Of course, if Greenfield has the net covered, the clever shots to shoot into the pads to go for the rebound that can only really either be gobbled by the goalie or go into the front of the net. And he's kicked it into blue paint, makes it 2 each. The second one, again, they've came down the left wing and he's dropped, for those watching, go that side. He's dropped the shoulder along the post and he's just left that. Now, it's a quality finish. To roof it from that distance, up over the shoulder and into the roof of the net to win a playoff semi-final. It's a killer finish. However, the goalie has to save that. And for the EIHL goalie of the year, the stink in that last 10 minutes of the game. And for the EIHL defender, the man of the year, the stink in the final. Tells me an awful lot about the awards.
Yeah, so it was the Sheffield Steelers then won that game against the Cardiff Devils. A lot of us had an early night. There was nothing significant happened in the rest of the evening, and the next day the Steelers took on the Panthers in the fourth place game and defeated the Panthers in that by, what was it, 7-2? I didn't even 7-3. Didn't even pay attention to that. We come to the final. The Belfast Giants once again take on the Cardiff Devils.
7-4 for those that were over.
7-4.
Can I just say something about that game?
Oh yes, you absolutely can, and I think you should.
I mentioned it on the. I know we only did a 15-minute podcast on the Sunday, and obviously it being Jonathan Phillips last game. Now, we had Jonathan Phillips on here. Was it last week? Last week. Absolute gentleman. Gave us his time, no issue at all. Didn't. Great guy. He came on and we played our plaudits to him. Obviously, we didn't wish him well because we never wish any other team well. But again, I've thought about this a couple of times this week, and it shouldn't annoy me as much as it has because it's not. I'm not a Sheffield Steelers fan, but for their coach Aaron Fox to walk off the bench, I didn't see him shaking Corey Nielsen's hand at the end of the game. He might have done it in the tunnel. Guys do that. That's fair enough. But for him to walk off the bench and completely show a massive lack of respect or any respect whatsoever for the most successful captain that the Sheffield Steelers have ever had, I thought was just ridiculous.
Unreal.
John O'Phillips, we again, somebody brought up the point last week that he's been around for every single season that the Elite League's been running in 17, 18 years. And for his coach to walk off the bench and not stand there and show recognition to their captain, I thought it was absolutely disgraceful. I'm being honest. I thought it was absolutely disgraceful. And one of the Sheffield Steelers fans approached me on Sunday night, when I come out of Saltbox after the party, and I walked down to the shop to get myself a bottle of water back before I walked down to the hotel. A couple of Steelers fans were there, and he pointed me out. He says, "I heard what you said earlier on about Aaron Fox." I actually thought he was going to have a go at me, because Steelers fans were a bit disappointed the way their weekend went. But he says, "You couldn't be more right." He said, "You're absolutely 100% right." Yep. He says, "Everybody I've spoke to this afternoon and this evening are disgusted with him." And I just thought that Jonathan Phillips should be held in the highest esteem, not just in Steelers hockey, but in British hockey, right the whole way through, of every single fan base, for the longevity and the success that he had. And obviously, I know you're no fan of Team GB, Paddy, but even in the Team GB aspect as well, I just thought it was a really, really poor decision by Aaron Fox to walk off the bench.
I agree. And like every single Sheffield Steelers fan that I spoke to, and Morris brought it up on Sunday, were absolutely disgusted by it. The pressure's on Aaron Fox now. You know, if he retains his job going into next season, the pressure is massively on him. It'd be interesting to see if he does, considering they got rid of Jared Adams for being successful. You know, but Aaron Fox now, with his actions, has been getting a lot of kicks from the Sheffield Steelers fans, both for the way that the Sheffield Steelers fell apart in the league challenge, the way that it all fell apart in the semi-final, even though they were leading, and now with the disrespect that they believe that he's shown, and I agree that he did show in the third, fourth place game. So it'll be interesting to see what becomes of Aaron. We'll talk a little bit about the other coaching changes that have taken place, but it'll be interesting to see what comes of Aaron Fox, whether he will retain his spot. Do you want to say something, Davey? You lean forward there like you were about to say something. No? Right, then let's crack on.
Doesn't matter.
Let's crack on to the final, boys. The Belfast Giants once again, for the third time consecutively, faced the Cardiff Devils in the playoff final. However, as we all know, this time it was a successful one, a 4-1 victory for your Belfast Giants. But first blood was taken by the Cardiff Devils with under 2 seconds left on the clock. They broke up, and Mark Richardson allowed the Cardiff Devils to end that first period 1-0 up. Jeff Baum made it 1-1 in the second, and then in the third, the Giants showed why they've been getting a reputation as a third period team. Steve Urry on 51-42, Donovan Niles on 52-38, and Mark Cooper with the empty netter with under 3 minutes left in the game. Tyler Beskorowany, 28 shots on, just that one against. Ben Bounds, 41 shots on, 3 against. Tom Perring and Liam Sewell were the referees that didn't call very much. Not very much for the Giants anyway. Says, what a game. In that first period, Cardiff hit everything that moved. You could see what their plan was.
Look, again, we were all up and watching the game itself, and I thought the Devils did really well in the first period itself. They took space away from us. They started the game really well. Bounds was excellent in the first period, and to be honest, I thought he was really, really good in the second. He pulled off 2 brilliant saves in the second period. One from Mark Cooper. I can't remember who the other one was, but you know, overall in the first opening half an hour, for argument's sake, I thought that we were second best. I don't think anybody would argue that point. The one positive about the second period, we limited them to, I think it was either 5 or 6 shots in the second period. So you know, Besko played really well in the first to keep it to 1-0. He gave up nothing in the second, and then we clicked into place. And while that shot from Jeff Baum, you know, getting Scott Conway in front of the net, and then their defenseman comes in and gives him a shove out of the way. It's the pass from Mark Garside is just unbelievable. Showing all his experience, literally sucking that guy in to take him along the wall. A backhand pass right into the path of Jeff Baum. He steps into the middle and throws it towards net with Cons, you know, screening the goalie. Was absolutely brilliant. Just a real brilliant play by Mark Garside. I'm going to let Davey touch on the significance of that pass from Mark Garside in a minute. But the next thing, Scott Conway gets a penalty called off that for a tap on the pads from behind on the backside of one of the Cardiff Devils players. Ridiculous call. Again, you talk about refereeing decisions. I thought that was really, really soft. He's hitting him a pat on the pads on the backside. It's not a penalty. And, you know, for us to come out, I think it was the only penalty we took in the final, actually. I thought that was the only one that give the Devils a chance. But as soon as we scored that goal in the second period, I genuinely thought we're going to win this. I thought before the game, I thought we were going to win it. But the Devils taking the control in the first, playing really well. But as I say, coming out with the big goal in the second period to tie things up, I knew we were going to go on and win that game. And I'll pass it on to Davey here to touch on the Gary point, and you can go move into the third period.
Do we bring it back that goal, Davy?
No, I'm debating whether to pause it here or not, or have you already paused it?
I brought it
Or
back.
it doesn't matter. Let's go back to start again there. Yeah, Mark Garside with the 2 points of the weekend, surpasses Blair Riley, formerly of this parish, up into sixth place overall.
And the other one.
In Belfast Giants overall scoring with 233 points in his 674 league games. There's the little pass there, just a little no look. Whenever you know your teammate's going to be there, you don't have to look. And Scott Conway screened the goalie, bounds in his blue paint. Simon said he did. He played really well. He came up with a couple of monster saves in that first period to keep the Cardiff Devils in the game. This pass from David Goodwin is as good a pass as you see. But there's the D-Man of the year.
The Elite League D-Man of the year may as well.
Like D-Man, absolutely stripped. Doesn't play the man, doesn't play the puck. Steve Orry takes it and goes through. And obviously pops it over, high glove, just like the first one, just like the third one, as one of the Belfast Giants players noted on Twitter this week. But, the Belfast Giants were really, really strong from that point. And at 2-1, all of a sudden, the ice really tilted for the Belfast Giants. This puck, the way Ori takes it in his stride, off the skates, pops it up over the glove hand, absolutely superb. It's the next goal that I want to focus on. Simon's talking about Scott Conway taking the penalty for a few little love taps on the rear end of the Devils shorts and takes a 2-minute penalty, puts the Devils on the power play. But whenever this next goal goes in, we'll just let it play. Gabe Bass goes to the net hard.
Yep.
Here it comes now.
With the Elite
Lovely
League D-Man
little
of the year.
drop pass. Elite League D-Man of the year. A couple of hacks and whacks and a few extra shots in the face. Really interestingly, the refs mic'd up and David Goodwin goes over to the referee. I don't know if you've heard this or not, Simon, or whether you're talking.
No, haven't heard it.
Just in. So Goody goes over to the referee and says, "You've got to call that." And he goes, "Why?" And he says, "It's exactly the same, if not worse." And he uses Con's first name. He goes, "It's exactly the same, if not worse, than what Scott did. And you call that. You've got to manage the game. It's getting out of hand." And he goes, "That's what I'm doing. I'm managing the game. Off you go." Back to the... So, you'll see Basti coming in here, not really interfering with the goalie, not really doing too much. So,
but don't forget, Crawford, it's the number one D-Man of the year.
It's a frustrated Elite League D-Man of the year.
What a load of bollocks.
It really is. It really is. Even looks
you can get carried away because it's our own players, but I do genuinely believe that defensively and offensively, he's been the outstanding defenseman this year, Gabe Bass. So, and this one here, we talked to Coops after the game, going, "Why did you wait to the?" And Simon, you could see it from where we were sitting. Obviously, why did you wait to the red dot before you shot it? Come on! And he's going, "It was rolling and it was bobbling and I was bricking myself." Isn't exactly what he said, but that he obviously he's played in games before where there's been goals scored in the last few minutes. So he just wanted to absolutely, you can see it there, just bobbling up on him, settles it down and manages to score, put us in that 4. And at that point, Simon sent me for another message. He says, "Right, on your back." So I didn't see it. That was the last bit of the game I saw, but it was a lot of fun.
It just goes to show, Simon, we've said it like in the stretch, and we said it in the second period break as well. The Giants have been a third period team. And you could tell in that, maybe it could even be like late in the second period, we were able to tell that the Cardiff Devils' legs were going. They were going, and the Giants weren't.
Well, to be honest, the Devils had a really tough game the night before.
They did.
Against the Steelers. And they make no mistake about it. They're an older group than our team as well, and you've got these guys, and Mark Lewis has been, he's a big body, a big Josh Batch as well. Didn't play much in the third, in fairness to them. And that's could be potentially why they didn't compete as hard either in the third period. You need to use the whole bench, and Crawford and Jardine, Richardson, who I absolutely love, Mark Richardson, and missing somebody, Thompson. They played a lot of minutes in that third period, and we were relentless. We just never gave them a chance.
Shortened the bench massively.
But we didn't. Adam just kept our guys rolling. And when you've got fresher legs coming on and just battling every single opportunity you get, look, we deserve to win that. We deserve to be the Grand Slam champions. We deserve every single accolade that comes our way this year. I don't give a toss what everybody else thinks outside of our organization. There's that man there. He's been absolutely outstanding this year.
Adam Keith.
And, to lead the coaching staff and to lead the group of players that we have to win everything we could this year is nothing short of remarkable. And as I say, yes, people all go on about, oh, you've got the money and you've got this and you've got that. It's absolutely irrelevant with regards to budgets. I'm telling you now, we do not have the highest budget in the Elite League. Absolutely 100% not. We also have the highest travel budget in the Elite League because we've got to fly the majority of games and we've got to travel. Or I'm not saying that we do more road traveling than other teams, absolutely, but we definitely don't. But with regards to flying the games, getting out of your bed earlier to get the games itself, make no mistake about it, we deserve everything that we've had this year. And as I say, I couldn't give a toss what everybody else thinks. We're the Elite League, the playoff champions and the Challenge Cup champions, and we're Grand Slam champions for a reason. So everybody else can just enjoy the rest of it. Davey, what would you say to Tony Smith the other night?
Enjoy your summer, Tony. I just say on that, the lessons learned for Cardiff from the Challenge Cup a number of years ago in Belfast, where they came in a little short bench and we were just relentless on the night. They got themselves ahead, but we were relentless and we came back. The punt obviously shortened his bench, went 2 lines. We were able to just to keep rolling rolling the 3 and 3.5 lines that we had. Obviously, David Goodwin went down for 7 or 8 minutes and getting himself stitched up. Did missed a couple of shifts, but not too bad. I think who came in and played for him? Kieran Long, I think, stepped in for a few shifts. But they went down to that 2 lines in the last period when the Giants were starting to come on strong and they just couldn't live with us at that stage. And just the depth that we had just told the story.
Simon?
You talk about the Cardiff Devils and you talk about the Steelers game the night before. And last week, leading up to the game, I had spoke to a couple of our guys and said, look, if we beat Nottingham on Saturday, who would you prefer to face in the final? And the guys that I spoke to all played in the final last year, and every single one of them said the same thing. I want Cardiff. We want to beat Cardiff in the final. Like, make no mistake about this part of it. The Belfast Giants and the Cardiff Devils have been the 2 best teams in this league for the last 4 or 5 years. The Devils deserved to win last year. There's no doubt about that. They've won 3 in a row in the playoffs. And I remember sitting in the tunnel last year and looking out on the ice. Davey was right there with me and watching them. Just as Steve said earlier on, all going, we're number 1. We won the league. Hardest trophy to win. You win 4 games, ultimately 3 games. We only won to win the playoffs this year. When you see that, and it hurts, it genuinely hurts. And I'm not even a player. I don't know how Davey felt when he sees those guys at the last game of the season. But somebody said at the weekend, and I can't remember who it was, Davey, I think you were with me. It might even be Thorts. And he says, winning the last game of the season to pick a trophy up just goes to put you into the summer on the best feeling. And that's what the Cardiff Devils over the last years.
It might have actually been Neil Francis, and who was incredibly magnanimous in defeat.
Huge.
Same with Keller, same with Katrina, same with Brodie DuPont and all those boys that were really, really disappointed. All came over, Christian Horn, all came over, congratulate us on a fantastic season. Unlike you were talking about Sheffield, Nottingham, and what they did surrounding the ends of the game. Messages from John Donovan, Katrina and stuff over the weekend. Very magnanimous in defeat, which I think, even though we had to stand and watch that, Simon, and it hurt, really, really hurt last season, which gives you the whenever you do win, it makes it even more special. I think we were hopefully as magnanimous in defeat to the Cardiff Devils and the friends we have down there. But see the friends in the Sheffield Steelers, read all about it.
Dave, you just paused the video here.
I paused it for a reason. Mark Cooper has just scored the 4th goal. The Belfast Giants are celebrating, and I've just noticed Scott Conway giving a little wave to the Devils fans here.
I see. I'll hit it.
Bye-bye. Exactly. And did you see last night? You've obviously seen the tweet where he accidentally rips one into Andy Dalton and celebrates it.
Andy Dalton celebrates.
But it's not as if you should put that clip up. I know. I hope Dalton is okay because I know he was hurt.
Of course.
But here, and look at that there. See, when you go back on that clip, there's a Devils player lying in the corner. I didn't notice that at the time. It was like, I mean, if you back up that clip, I don't know if you can or not. But if you back up that clip, there's a Devils player. Watch this, and just over his shoulder, over the Mark Cooper's shoulder.
Is that who it was? No.
What do you see? That Devils player there slides into the wall,
diving to try to stop the fourth, and hits the wall.
I don't know if I hope he's not hurt. Like, I'd hate to see.
Yeah.
I think I maybe Trevor Cox, who's a really good player for them. But when you look at the, I think if you can get that clip up, Paddy, of Collins last night, it's only a deflection, but maybe he doesn't take a shot at him. I think it was Pick that threw across the crease, and it flicked up off Collins' stick and hit Andy Dalton. But what he does after that is absolutely brilliant. And again, I hope Andy Dalton's okay. I thought it was comical genius, but that's just what you get from Scott Conway. He's lethal. He's absolutely lethal.
I'm going to wrap things up here. Just a couple of things for me, just to follow up on what you gents were saying. I thought in the first, my take on the game was, I thought in the first period we stunk. I thought that passes weren't going to tape. Things were bouncing over everything, and then we got caught on a break at the last. But then after that, we started to pick up, and we showed that we had the goal from Bomber, wonderful. The screen, fantastic. The finish from Ari, the breeze past the EIHL Defender of the Year, phenomenal. Then for Niles to come off the bench, come straight in, and then the pass to put him in, wonderful. Like, the Giants showed exactly the team that they are in the final game of the season. One of the most wonderful experiences I've ever had as a Belfast Giants fan. I'm very, very proud and very, very humbled that I was able to go down and enjoy it with you boys and go down onto the ice and see firsthand just the joy and see the Giants fans going nuts. I looked around at the Devils. I had a look around, as I promised I would, and I looked at the Devils fans and I looked at their disappointment, just because I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be in their shoes all too often. The last two playoff finals, the playoff final against Sheffield with Drew Faddis scoring, the playoff final against Nottingham with Jordan Fox scoring. I know what that's like. So I don't want to forget that. So I looked around, I spent a bit of time just looking at the disappointment in the Cardiff Devils fans. And then I turned and I looked at the Belfast Giants fans, and I've just shared in the absolute elation that we had to put us in what we are now and what we have now at a Grand Slam. And I have to hand it to a lot of the Devils fans who I spoke to, kept in the bar, top lad, have a lot of time for him. Jonathan Williams, I didn't expect that. Jonathan Williams came down, shook my hand, said, well done. We had a quick chat, and they do a great job of 3-on-3, and a bit of chat. And a lot of the Devils fans that Sarah, and a lot of the Devils fans I chatted to, very, very magnanimous in defeat. And like you say, a lot of friends in the organisation, spent a lot of time with Killer at the weekend. Really good to see Franny come over. But I've got one point to make, boys, before I wrap this up. In the final game of the season that the Belfast Giants played the Cardiff Devils, they took 1 point off us. They finished that game by skating around our ice, waving at our fans, blowing kisses, and acting the panto villain. Karma's a bitch. The highlights from that game are available on YouTube, and I've watched them again and again and again. Congratulations to the Belfast Giants, who are the Elite League Grand Slam champions. What do we do? Just right. Okay. One thing to do here, and what I want to do is talk about briefly about the Kingdom of the Giants of Youth on the Bridge Most Valuable Player Award. And one of the things we were very humbled to do, Davey, was the opportunity to give the award out. And there is swearing, which I haven't cut out. Sorry, mate. But here is the award being handed out to its recipient after the game against the Cardiff Devils.
I've got a little award to present here. I want to say a couple of things thankfully on behalf of the fans. For every one of you that give your time this season to AVFTB, we appreciate it so much. All we're trying to do is give the fans a little bit of entertainment during the week. So thank you very much for it all. You represent this great city because we can, and we love you sport. That's why we follow you up and down the country. Congratulations on a fucking unbelievable season. Thank you so much. There's 3 types of players that play for this club. Guys that come in on the season and then disappear the next. Thank you very much for making Belfast part of your stay. Guys that retire, you're too young every one of you, the real world sucks. Don't do it. And guys are coming back in September. See you then. Lads, MVP. This award's been presented for 23 years now, consistently. It started as a t-shirt in 2000. It's a bit of glassware. This goes on a few of them. This year, Scott Conway.
Wonderful speech you gave there, Davey, and a massive congratulations to Scott Conway. It doesn't come as a surprise, Davey.
No, he had a pretty good season, did he? There was a lot of players in that locker room this season, obviously, that had absolutely outstanding seasons, because if you don't get a group of players playing the very high standard, then you don't win every trophy that's on offer. Cons gets the accolade because he was so consistent over so long. Somebody was chirping him, as you know, on Twitter the other day. He just fully charged his battery and went for it for a whole day, and he got into people's ears. And somebody was on about him about just being a big game player, or not being a big game player, not showing up in the big games, and being a bit of a flat track bully. And I just quickly went back, and from the 31st of December, there was only one game that he didn't either have a point, an assist, or on the goal, on the ice for a goal being scored. So phenomenal consistency. David Goodwin, I'm going to rhyme off some players here. David Goodwin was exceptional this season. I think it was 55 league assists, something like that. Steve Orey, absolutely clutch from that weekend against Cardiff, where he got the 3 or 4 goals and we got 9. He just kicked on. And yes, he was streaky at times where his goals came in bunches, but something like 33 goals or something he ended the season with, and that was after Halloween, before the game against the Devils. Mark Cooper, it can be MVP of this league, this team, if Scott Conway wasn't playing. Tyler Beskorowany came in the 1st of January and had outstanding numbers, and that group of 4 guys that did nets for us this year, and Jackson Whistle, Peyton Jones, Andrew Dixon, and Tyler Beskorowany as a unit were phenomenal. Gabe Bast, Will Cullen as a little team, Sam Rupp, Basti, who else? Matt Foley, unsung hero down at the back end there. Everybody talking about being on the Foley hype train. I thought he was outstanding.
On the Foley hype train.
On the weekend there, absolutely brilliant. Jeff Baum, Mark Garside. Let's go through them all, and then you go up front and guys coming in like Matt McLeod towards the end of the season. Lightning McLeod, as says, was calling him out the weekend. Minnie Cooper coming in, doing great things after being at the Leeds Knights. You could go on and on, but Scott Conway sort of stood out a wee bit even above those guys. He scored big goals in big games. I remember texting Simon, I can't remember what the game was, but it was a big game, January, February time, just saying Scott Conway is going to score tonight. And I think he scored a couple, maybe had an assist, man of the match, kind of just cometh the hour, cometh the man. And for me, Scott Conway, I think it was 121, 122, 123 points or something this season. Ridiculous. Breaking every record, going, doing it while chirping everyone, going. Just, we've been very, very lucky. Now, this is no exclusive. I have no idea what Scott Conway is doing next season, and I genuinely don't. We've been very, very blessed to have him this last 2 seasons. If that's it, if the Scott Conway show moves on to Europe, to North America, wherever he might get an offer, because offers will come for a player of his caliber, we can only wish him well and thank him for making Belfast part of his stay. And hopefully Simon Kitchen will be involved in it. That door will always remain ajar.
Simon, Scott Conway, most valuable player.
Davey rhymed off a bucket load of names there. Didn't mention Ben Lake.
That's right.
No, we all know I'm a massive Ben Lake fan. But that what my point being is, that just goes to show how good our team was this year. And tough decisions needed to be made in November, December, and January. And you've got to hand it out to Steve and Adam, because they didn't, they had the balls to basically stand up and go, hey, let's do this. And I remember our fans basically going, what are you getting rid of him for? That's ridiculous. Should he get rid of this guy? You should he get rid of that guy? Not naming any names, but Michael Owens. But, you've guys out there. I'm going to get a text from Andrew in a minute. But you've guys out there who put everything on the line to go out and win these 3 championships. And I said it earlier on, we absolutely deserve everything we've got this year. Everything. Scott Conway has been absolutely exceptional all year long. And, I know he missed out on a couple of He's the MVP, but he's not the best British player in the league. Make that one.
Nonsense.
I get it. You sort of try and it's not called the Scott Conway Awards. You've got to try and share it around a wee bit, but you don't. You make recognition where it deserves. As I said to Davey last week, I just think that because he's got a Canadian or American accent, I think people forget that he's British, and that's why he didn't get the award. And Ben O'Connor did get it. I voted Ben O'Connor third on my ballot for the British Player of the Year, and Scott Conway number one. So I just think that overall we've been spoiled over the last number of years, and the three this year we need to savor them because Steve had mentioned earlier there's other teams that are going to come and try and take our mantle next season. So Belfast Giants fans, and the majority of them are watching on this right now, enjoy it and savor it. And if anybody else comes along and says, you're always so pompous and you're always so biased, I'm absolutely biased. Absolutely savor it and enjoy your summer because it's 3 trophies this year. Doesn't happen very often. And again, congratulations to Adam, the coaching staff, Taffer, Steve, everybody that involved with the Belfast Giants and every single fan, because we are the Grand Slam champions.
Here. The netminder of the year wasn't in the first All-Star team. The forward of the year, the player of the year, wasn't the best British player of the year. And the defenseman of the year was Marcus Crawford. Right. One more thing I want to cover here before we go to any other business, gentlemen, and that obviously was last night's festivities and a wonderful night that it was. The Belfast Giants taking on Dnipro Kherson and everything about it. The raising of the banner, everything about it was just a wonderful night. What I will do is I'm just going to give us a break from chatting, and we're going to hear from Steve Saviano, George Iwata, and Adam Keefe again. We were speaking to Simon after the game.
Steve Saviano, after the victory over Dnipro, wasn't about the score. It was about the cause. Obviously, a lot of money is going to be raised, but being back on the ice at the SSE Arena and picking up another goal, a Saviano goal, you must have been pleased.
Oh, what a night. The whole crowd, that was unbelievable. I didn't expect a sold-out crowd. And the concert in the beginning and the video, what a night. It was awesome. It was so fun to be out there. What a event they put on tonight, the Giants of Ukraine. It was special.
And you got to spend it with the boys watching as well.
Yeah, yep. Louis and James were out there. They're up a little late right now, but it's all right. It was pretty cool. I had to get one goal just for them. That was the goal of that.
You had some good chemistry with Martin, two Coopers, Martin, Grant Cooper.
I know, they were trying to get me to sign back here, but I'm happy. I'm very happy.
Again, obviously it's for a great cause, Ukraine hockey dream, and there's going to be a lot of money raised here this evening for it. Again, it's devastating what's happening over there. So you must be, playing your part. You must be pretty pleased.
Oh, it's anything to help. Anything to help is awesome. I mean, what they're going through, I can't even imagine. It's not even in the same atmosphere of how I live. So I can't imagine anything we do to help. And I know I didn't do much tonight, but at least I could just get back here and at least support it. So it felt good.
And there's Boomerang Corner and everything else is screaming your name as well tonight.
I don't know, but it's all good. All good.
Top man, cheers, Sal.
All right, awesome.
George Iwata, back on the ice in a Giants uniform instead of standing on the bench. All for a good cause, obviously. Did you have any fun tonight?
Yeah, it was a great time. It was good. It was the right pace, I think. And they pushed us, which was fun. And I got stuck back on D, which was just fine because it's an easy game when you're playing back there.
Yeah, I seen you playing D with a coach. Is that because just to conserve some energy, or was it?
I think they wanted to keep the scoreline down for us. And they keep us back there so they can help them or something. But no, it was good. It was fun just to be a part of it. We had a lot of guys on the bench, which was great because our shift was nice and tight. But it was fun, especially playing with him. Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. And I kind of have half a clue what I'm doing. So it was good for some interesting shifts.
There was one hit thrown in the game. I'll give you two guesses who scored it.
Yeah, I know. He was complaining about the block shot. I was like, what about that hit?
He's hit it in the ass.
I know, and there was a couple times where I got cross-checked out there too. Like, it was a proper playoff hockey cross-check to the hip, but I'm like, these guys mean business. But it was good. It was fun, and obviously everything worked out, and they had fun, and it was. I don't want to say it's their Stanley Cup, but a lot of those kids really appreciated what we did. And it was great to be a part of it.
Huge crowd. Your girls in the crowd to watch you playing?
They were. I got a text between periods too, like, you better score a goal. And I'm like, I had my chance in the first, and I actually buried them, but no, it was fun. They loved it. I'm glad they got to see me play, because they've never seen me play.
Yeah.
I know it's not real hockey, but it was good to get out there. And the crowd was awesome. I didn't expect that, but it was a great turnout.
Again, you're used to standing behind the bench, being out there on the ice in front of that crowd, and the most important thing is raising the money for the Ukraine hockey team.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. And we're still passionate about what we do, and it was good to get out there and see the ice and do what we do. But seeing that check come across, it was awesome. And just seeing the expression, talking to those kids, the ones that speak decent English, they thought this organization, they thought it was the most beautiful place ever. And I was like, yeah, that's why guys stay here to play, because it's a great venue, great atmosphere, great culture, great fans.
Well, we're going to switch our attention now to Adam Kiefer.
That was Conway's fault.
Playing all sorts of positions tonight. I thought you said like all 5 in one shift.
Well, if I kept playing forward, it was me done after one period. So the D helped out. D, that job's easy.
Defensive?
Yeah, easy job. Just float up the ice.
Massive crowd here tonight, just saying that George. I mean, nobody was expecting the numbers to turn out, and it's all for such a great cause.
Yeah, it was an amazing event. Obviously, they had a lot of fun. The players said a lot of good things about the organization, the fans, and their special moment that was there. And I think it was a great event for everybody. Everybody was happy.
Was Corey here tonight watching her daddy play?
She was, yes. That was special too. I'll see what she thinks when I get home.
Thank you very much, Adam. Appreciate your time.
It was a fabulous event. Well, we touched on it with regards to chats to Steve Thornton and the Adam Kiefer earlier on, so we're not going to go too much into it. But Simon, you were there present, and we said about all the presentations at the start. I've got the banner raised, which I'll add in. But all the presentations at the start, Ryan McMullen singing Belfast City, and what that means to the Belfast fans, especially after the weekend that we've just had, and then the game on the ice, which was really, really entertaining.
Listen, I thought it was a brilliant night. I really did. From literally right at the very start of the game, there was a lot of. I mean, you know what? It actually all started yesterday morning. I went to the airport to pick Petacek up, and let me tell you something. What an absolute gentleman!
Arsenal's Petacek,
Chelsea's Petacek, man. The nicest man that you could ever meet. He gave up his time. He had things organized for Wednesday when Adam contacted him on Sunday, and he moved everything around so he could come and play. All of his at his own expense. He paid for everything for coming over to play in the game itself. And while that we to be honest, I would have put my own hand in my pocket to bring him here. And play for the Belfast Giants, and he's not a half bad goalie either. In fairness, I thought he did really well, but for him to give his time up, and anybody that want photographs with him, and anybody that want interviews, and the time that he took on the ice yesterday morning with all the Ukraine kids that come on and got team photographs and group photographs, and he was just an absolute gentleman. You add that to all the boys that come over, Darryl Lloyd, Jonathan Boxall, Steve Saviano. It's great to see George Owada and Adam back on the ice, and all the guys that come in. It's just incredible. And I had a really, really good night, and I think everybody that was there certainly did as well. And even let's touch on the Aaron Murphy come up from Dublin to
on his birthday,
to commentating on it on his birthday. It's 40s, remember, or something. He gave his time up again, and spent his birthday evening in Belfast. All the officials donating their time as well, and everything, whatever was raised to go into the pot has been absolutely phenomenal. So it's a brilliant event that was put on by the Odyssey Trust, and all the work that's going on behind it, and just very, very proud. I'd be lying if I said that more than once there wasn't a lump in my throat last night. Just being part of this organization right now is something that we all should be very, very proud of. And again, when Ray Sawada was mentioned, and everybody stood up and clapped around the arena, I don't think I felt a more emotional moment at the SSE Arena in 23 years. So,
sorry.
Nope, that's it.
I think from my point of view as well, Davey, and I'll move to you for a quick comment. Is that you looked on social media and stuff, and obviously given the wonderful weekend that we've had and the position of the organisation, the team, and everything is in, to have that what was more or less a celebration as well as a fundraiser for the Ukraine Dream. I think that to have that, and it was an overwhelming sense of pride from the fan base. The turnout was phenomenal. The setup was outstanding. It's you have to give the plaudits to James Glover and all those guys. The check for £50,000 that goes towards that is unbelievable. Plus everything else that's going into it. It just is another, Davey, and we say this quite often about a number of things. It's just another feather in the cap of the Belfast Giants organisation that they have it within themselves to put on a show like they did last night.
Just to keep it short, Kiefer said it best when he said it at the start about, you couldn't really write a better way. You couldn't have, somebody had said to you at the start of the season, jot down on a piece of paper there how you'd want your season to end, lift all 3 trophies and have a celebration night of hockey. Because generally the season finishes with the last game in Nottingham and the boys are away. And obviously a lot of the boys had already left, and Simon had to go to work and get a whole load of legends in. And as he said there, some at their own expense, and some heroes from other sports that have taken back to the hockey years after they finished their football. So a real, as you say, call a feather in a cap, a real boost for Belfast. And we're very fortunate to be in Saltbox on Saturday night when the whole team got up on the stage there with the trophy. Ryan McMullen blasting away in the background, every person in the bar singing, and then to go to Wednesday night and have them live. Whoever organised that, by the way, props.
Top marks.
Like, that was one of the, and there's a picture which will take a long time to be defeated. I know some of the pictures that we'll have from the weekend, and big nod to William Cherry for taking his time to come back and take memories for us that you can never
100%,
in that
100%.
moment you can never have those memories again. So thank you very much so much to William Cherry for doing that. But there's a picture taken from Boomerang Corner to a full arena with Ryan McMullen, the 2 teams on the ice, the championship banner just gone up in the background. It was a phenomenal moment. Perfect. Just to put the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, I can't take responsibility for bringing the boys in. That's all Laura. She was the one straight onto it and getting all the contacts out. We did make an ask of an awful lot of guys who just couldn't make it, unfortunately. They all wanted to be here, but the boys that did come in did phenomenally, as you would just expect, because we bring people back who just get it. And Tim Cook, there's another one as well.
And I was just thinking that.
Great to see Cookie in the building and Paul Swindlehurst,
Swinney, yeah.
Do you know what? Swinney was sitting in Manchester Airport for nearly 6 hours on a delayed flight on Tuesday night, just so he could be here. So there's an awful lot of people that need thank for it, and you can't go around everybody because you're going to miss somebody out. So anybody who was involved with last night's game, thank you.
Yes, I think, and we had some brilliant interviews from yourself, Simon, so thank you for that. And the one from Paul Swindlehurst, it was 3 minutes long, so you get the full thing on Facebook, and there's a bit of that on Twitter, but you can see what it meant for him to be back and be part of this. And it was a wonderful night. Congratulations to the all involved. A brilliant way to finish the season for the Belfast Giants and the organisation, and for the fans to have that opportunity to go back to the arena, to see the 3 trophies, to see the banner, and to celebrate what was a phenomenal season with a game that meant so much, not just to the Belfast Giants, but to the people and the team from Ukraine. And well done to them. I thought it was a great game overall. We were going to do news. There's not that much news. I'm not going to really talk about it. Nielsen's out. I think he's going to Germany. Paredes comes in from France. Another coach from outside. We'll come and talk about that at some point soon. And also Dupont and Horn are out from Cardiff. There is a rumour going around that Pete Russell's going to come back and go in there. Who knows? We shall see. Gentlemen, for the last time this season, any other business? I've got it, says if you want it.
You can't show it, man. You have to show it.
Let's go. Let's keep an eye on where the puck goes and have a look at to find it. There it is. Have a look at Scott Conway. We'll spray it in. play it, and you can see the putting across. Oh, it's paused down. There. Let's try it again. Watch Scott Conway in the middle. Yes, got him. One more time. Got tip. Yes, got him. It's absolutely
brilliant.
It's absolutely superb. I love it. But Dulce will be listening in, and I had a really nice chat with Dulce on Sunday during the third, fourth place game. He's been listening in. He sent us a message, mate. Said, "Did it hurt?" That's the.
I was speaking to Glover. Earlier on. He said he was speaking to Andy last night, and he says it definitely hurt. So hope Andy's okay. hope Andy's okay. But that's just classic Scott Conway. He's lethal.
Perfect.
Absolutely lethal. No, listen, I just wanted to say massive thanks to everybody watching over the season. I know I missed the start of the season and because it was flat out busy, but it's been brilliant, coming back from January, and I've really enjoyed it. And thanks to you, Paddy, again, the work that you keep on saying thanks to everybody else, and even Davey cutting all the video, and you guys putting everything together to get the show up and running every single week. And yes, I know fans want to keep it going through during the summer, but tough. We need a break.
We need some time out.
We need time out as well. But thanks to everybody who watches. There's other pretenders out there who think that they're number one podcast in the Ice Hockey in the Elite League. No, they're not. We're just the best at everything that we do. So thank you.
Dear, well, it's good to have you back, mate. Davey, anything for you?
I have just a couple of things. The golden oldies. For those that pledged a donation for each Belfast Giants goal, I will tweet up over the next couple of days the final total and those that pledged. And if you still feel like donating, then we'll donate, and every penny will be going to HNI. But seriously, thanks for everyone that donated to all the little charity things we did this season. We're very fortunate we're able to use this platform for good, and we've got money for Dahi. We did this and that over the season, a few shirts here and there, and I'm sure Simon will produce. If we do this all again in September, I'm sure we'll produce some nice memorabilia to go forward for some charitable goods. You're smiling there, Simon.
How many goals do we score?
About 300.
So I owe you 150 quid.
And I'm on 50p a goal. 15 a goal.
I think you told me I'm on 50p a goal as well. Thanks, man.
I think you said £1.
I don't have 300 quid. I'm going to Vegas.
You never said. But I just echo. It's a back slapping time of year. I'm actually scratching my shoulder. I'm not patting myself in the back. Just at the bad timer. We thank Steve Thornton, thank Adam Keefe, George Awada, Shane Johnson. Why not Johnny? Taff, Stewie, all those boys. And Laura says everybody that allows us the access to allow us to produce this, because I think we would do this even if nobody watched, because it's that much fun just sitting chatting hockey every week. We mightn't do it every week, but it is just three mates, three fans for the fans. And, we were very, very fortunate to be able to go and present that, most valuable player award on your behalf. We enjoy doing this. It is a slog. There's dog days that go through the winter and you don't want to be doing this, but we'll do it for you, and we'll love doing it. And we're very blessed that the club allow us the access we do. And all being well, we'll see you over the summer.
Just to add mine, it's basically following up what you guys did. Thanks to everyone, the players, the coaches that have come on over the course of the season, not just from our own team, but when it came to opposition players and coaches, we had either a head coach or a captain for more or less every single Elite League team except for the Nottingham Panthers. So we're very humbled by the fact that these guys come on and they join us. Thanks to the likes of Neil Whiteside, who does a fantastic job and has done some of the video, the openings for us, and rendered a brand new one for us today. Which was just very humbling that he would take the time to do that for us. The girls and the guys behind the scenes at the Belfast Giants, like Chantel and Neve and all these, and Anne and all these guys, Tom and Tams, and all the ones who when you contact them, can we get this? Chantel especially, when you contact them for contact details, bang, there you've got it, and they're helping us out to be able to get information and stuff like that. but also you two gents, and I say this time and time again, A View from the Bridge is a team effort, and it always will be. It always has, and it has to be for us to do this better. From the stuff that Davey does statistically, and also cutting the videos and the goals and stuff like that, says you're down doing some brilliant interviews, and we had some more of those today. And I can't thank you enough for what you've done, and with Joel as well. I know obviously congratulations to him and Max, and congratulations to him with what happened with Lauren, and then winning the league. It's and the input he's had in here. This is a team thing, and it doesn't happen without you boys being involved, and I'm very humbled that you take the time every week to be part of this, and I really enjoy it, and I hope you guys do too. But my final thanks goes to the people. Thanks, David. My final thanks goes to everybody who's watching, listening, and taking part. I've just said it on the chat that without the people watching, without the people listening, you make it what it is. This is for the fans, by the fans, and we really, really enjoy doing this podcast. We have done, this is the 18th season of A View from the Bridge, and for it to be the 18th season of A View from the Bridge, and here we are with a Grand Slam is amazing. To have the experience that personally I had being part of the organization and being able to go down on the ice on Sunday, to be part of that is very humbling. And to have we had so many people come up to us in the bar, both in bunkers or in salt box or even in the rink, from fans of opposition teams, a fella called Alistair who said he's only watched us twice but he watched us again, to the nurse with the broken tutor. I said I'd say it. To there's so many people who came up. Good to see Marchie McGowan and all these people who came up with some very kind things to say about A View from the Bridge, and it's just, we're very humbled by what you say, and we'll try to keep going and doing and producing the product that you want to watch or you want to listen to. And Kelly Franks, and good to see the two lads sitting there, always part of it. But we're going to go away. We're going to enjoy our summer. We'll be back for a couple of shows, no doubt, as more and more players come on board for the forthcoming season, and the Champions Hockey League teams are drawn. Gentlemen, go on, David. You got one thing to say?
Gotta be. I'll send it to you in the WhatsApp. This has to be the one to go out with, Paddy, before you play your video.
You know what? I wonder if I could. Oh no, it doesn't matter.
What was it? Go on.
No, I mean, I know everybody's busting the gut to try and get Neva a hold of a name who's coming back next season.
Sorted. Go on.
No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, me there. Don't worry, Davey. I already had that lined up. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. You can get us on Twitter at AVFTB, on Facebook, kingdomofthegiants.com. Big thanks to Gary Crooks, who emailed us every single week a podcast at Kingdom of with a viaduct picture, Kingdom of the Giants, podcast at kingdomofthegiants.com. Wherever you're enjoying your summer, we hope it's a great one. And we'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge. Still you